Hello, Matthew Harffy here. I'm the author of the Bernicia Chronicles, and I thought I'd do a video which I've been meaning to do for a while about the pronunciation of Old English names and words in my books. Readers often contact me and ask me about how to pronounce some of the words, and to be honest, it's not easy, and I'm no expert. So I have to say I'm no expert in Old English. I don't speak Old English, but obviously I have looked up how to pronounce the words, at least how we think they're pronounced or they were pronounced. And I've asked some people to help me as well with that. Christopher Monk, also known as the Anglo-Saxon monk online, he's got his own web page, and he's an Anglo-Saxon scholar, and he helped me in the early days of the Bernicia Chronicles, and gave me some pointers. So I thought I'd just pick out some of the main points and some of the most important names, and the ones that might cause people problems. I'll add some links to more extensive information about Old English and pronunciation to this video as well. So if you want to know more, have a look there. But here I won't go through all of the different names and words from the books, because there's hundreds of them. But I'll just pick out some of the ones that highlight some of the things that people might be getting wrong or get confused over. And I know that when Barnaby Edwards, the narrator for the Bernicia Chronicles books, took on the narration, he contacted me and had lots of questions about the pronunciation, and we worked through some of them. And he does a great job of pronouncing the words properly, and there's a few discrepancies between the way he pronounces them and the way I do, or the way I believe they should be pronounced. There are only a few discrepancies, and I think that's probably down to the fact that it's a dead language and that different scholars have different points of view. I know that he asked someone who's an expert in the field for guidance, in the same way that I asked Christopher Monk as well. So yeah, I think there could be some discrepancies there, but in general, if you've got the audiobooks, then you probably don't need to watch this, because he pronounces them all pretty well, and he does a great job of the narration as well, so I'm really happy with that. But anyway, I'll go through some of them now. So one of the things that people get confused about is the C. The letter C in Anglo-Saxon is pronounced like a K, like a K sound, not an S. So, for example, Beerbrand's, or Beerbrand, depending on how you wish to pronounce that, Beerbrand's friend, one of his best friends, sidekick, the warrior ACENNAN, is pronounced rather than ACENNAN, as I think people might pronounce it. So that's ACENNAN. And the monk who he befriends in the Serpent's Sword and continues to be friends with throughout the series, his name is pronounced Kenred. So that's a silent O there, so that's Kenred. Perhaps it's Coinred, but it's definitely the E sound is predominant. In the later books, from I think it's from Killer of Kings onwards, there's a new warrior that joins Beerbrand's band, and he's a Welshman, or a Walishman, called CYNAN or Cynan. Now his name actually is a Welsh name, not an Old English name. So it highlights the fact that the Y in his name is spelled CYNAN, and the Y is pronounced like a oo sound in Old English. Of course, he's Welsh, so it could be pronounced Cynan, because the Y in Welsh is not pronounced like an oo; it's pronounced like an ah. So he's probably pronounces his own name Cynan, and it's actually the same derivative of the name of Conan. And originally I was going to call him Conan. He's a hero from Welsh legend, but I thought that the comparisons that people would make to the Robert E. Howard character were too much, so I decided to make him Cynan. But that does give some indication of why he turns out to be such a great warrior. The princess, who later becomes queen and marries, well, I don't want to give too much away, but later becomes queen of Northumbria, Edwin's daughter, her name has the ash letter, the A and E, kind of squished together in the second syllable, or the second half of her name. So her name is Eanflad. So that ash is pronounced like an ah sound. So it's either Eanflad or Eanflad. Probably Eanflad actually, because I think you're supposed to stress the first syllable. So it's Eanflad, but it's the flad sound that's one of the differences. I think Barnaby Edwards pronounces that Eanfled, but I think it's flad. So Eanflad. The horse that Beerbrand acquires in The Cross and the Curse, the Black Stallion, is Shadowgenga. Now the S and the C together is pronounced like a SH in modern English, so it's Shadowgenga. So it literally means shadow walker or shadow goer. So yeah, Shadowgenga. And his old friend, who becomes the reeve of his home village of Heather, is a man called Shrudan. So there you've got the S and the C, which is pronounced like a sh sound, followed by the R and then a Y, so it's the U sound, so it's Shrudan. Again, the money, if there was any money at the time, or the value of sheep or something was classed as a shilling. Again, that's an SC, so shillings. One of the characters that Beerbrand meets originally in the village or the settlement of Engelmynster, which literally means angel minster or angel monastery. That's a made-up place, but yeah, Engelmynster. One of the people he meets there and who becomes an enemy of his is Wibert. And I guess that could be Wubert, but I think it's Wibert there. I don't know why the Y is pronounced differently. I'll have to have a look at that and see if I can work that one out. But I believe it's Wibert. And some of the vowels are pronounced differently depending on which letter they follow. I remember that being pronounced Wibert, but I could be wrong. In the books, there's often a quote which comes from the Old English poem of Beowulf, which is the term for a good king, and it's God Kuning, and it's written God is G-O-D with a little line over the O to make it a longer sound, so it's God, and then Kuning is C-Y-N-I-N-G, so that's that U sound again is pronounced like an U, so it's God Kuning, which literally means good king. Beerbrand's sword is Hrunting, so you've got that H there sound at the beginning, Hrunting. Quite often Beerbrand and others refer to creatures of the night dwellers of the forest, literally night goers, and these are, or night walkers, and these are Nichtgänger. Of course, fate or destiny is a big thing for the Anglo-Saxons, and we all know that Beerbrand often thinks about his own destiny and his weird. It's pronounced weird. A few of the places that Beerbrand goes to, or that appear frequently in the books, we have Bebenberg, which I'm assuming most people know how to pronounce or got some idea. He comes from Kent, which in Old English is Cantuara. He travels to the Isle of Hii, which is Iona, which is in the land of the Dalrita. I think it's pronounced Dalrita. York, later the Vikings called it Jorvik. The Old English called it Efforwich, and there you have the C at the end is pronounced like a ch sound, so Efforwich. And the royal steading that features in The Serpent's Sword prominently, where there's a final battle takes place between Cadwallon and Arnfrith. Arnfrith's warriors, so Shand is leading the battle, is a place called Yevrin. So there you can see that the G at the beginning of a word followed by an E is pronounced like a Y, so it's Yevrin, and the F is pronounced like a V to make it even more interesting, so it's Yevrin. In The Cross and the Curse, in the second book, there's a battle that takes place at Heavenfield, which in Old English is Heavenfelt. And again, you can see the F being pronounced like a V there at the beginning. Heavenfelt. So that's it. Those are some of the common misconceptions or common problems that people might face with pronunciations. If you think I've got some of them wrong, let me know, post a comment on here. If you'd like me to tell you how to pronounce some of the other words that I haven't mentioned, again, give me a comment and I'll try to respond with how to pronounce them. And I think that's it from me. So thanks very much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the books.